Hello, I'm Daniel Weiss, your host, and you are listening to my podcast. If you are new to this podcast, my aim is to give you the insights so you learn how to master your mind and optimize your health for the peak performance that is sustainable.
Thank you for finding the time to join me today.
Yes, of course.
My hopes for this episode of the podcast video is actually to inspire people to help them transition into the plant-based lifestyle. And you have pretty impressive, I would say, body when it comes to bodybuilding. So I think you are the right person to inspire, especially ladies, who are afraid that they might not be getting enough protein or
Uh-huh.
whatever. So yeah, I would like to introduce you or to introduce yourself in the first place because I I know you from the social media. I know that you are into the, let's say, bodybuilding or fitness
hmm
and healthy lifestyle in general. And you used to do some track running. Yeah, was that at high school or even before?
Yes, in middle school, high school, and then college.
Yeah, okay. So this has been this was your past. And what made you do the transition and stop with that and transition more into the bodybuilding or this kind of workouts?
hmm I would say it was mainly for track and field. I had received a scholarship to
Okay,
get into college, and that helped pay for me to go to school.
right.
So basically, once I graduated and then was out into the real world, I was ready to make a change, make a transition, and I actually discovered bodybuilding not too long ago. It's only been about 3-4 months now where I really got serious about it.
Okay.
So it's fairly new.
And what about before then?
Before then, I was just working. I went to college with an accounting major, actually. I graduated with my master's degree and went into public accounting.
Okay.
So I did that for about 2 years. I was an auditor, mainly for banking clients. And then I decided, this really wasn't something that I was truly passionate about. And so I was ready to dive in and make the change. And that's where I discovered veganism.
Okay.
And from that, that's what stemmed my whole passion for health and fitness.
So that was how long ago, actually?
I became vegan a little bit over 2 years now.
Right. So this was what was the actual reason for that? So was it more like health, or was it also compassion, or what was it?
Yeah, I would definitely say it was a combination of everything as a whole. I remember the very first time I discovered veganism, I was watching a Netflix documentary called Cowspiracy.
Right.
And that one was mainly about the impact of the animal agriculture on the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And so it stemmed with that. And then also for health reasons, really, because, I had family members that suffer from diabetes, chronic illnesses, cancer, thyroid problems. So that was also another thing that made me make the decision to make that change as far as the vegan plant-based diet. And then, of course, then it was the animal cruelty as well.
Okay.
So that was another thing that I no longer wanted to contribute to, the harm and suffering, for animals. So I'm a huge animal lover.
Yeah, it's actually amazing, or it comes amazing to me that we as a society, or most of the people, are not really aware of these things. And for example, I coming from a village, we have a farm nearby. There I've always been around animals. It was kind of part of our lifestyle, eating animals, eating meat, eggs, dairy, cheese, whatever. And
Yeah.
you go out and you see these cows, in my case, eating grass outside, and it looks like a happy life. But uh, now, actually, last year, I asked my mother that question when it comes to dairy, like, well, actually, why do they produce milk all the time? right? The cows, because
Mhm.
this was the point when I started thinking about it. Like each animal, each mammal produces milk or lactates when they have baby, right? But cows don't have babies all the time. So I mean, how is it possible that they produce milk all the time? Like,
Mhm.
was it some genetical manipulation or what was that? And actually, when my mother started thinking about it, like she went silent and like I don't know the answer. It's
Mhm.
probably what they do. Like for some reason they lactate all the time. So then we found out that it's basically okay. There is this insemination process and
Mhm.
yeah, these kind of things. So many people are not aware of it. I mean,
Mhm.
we were in so close vicinity at the same time.
Mhm.
So I would like to ask you, what was the hardest part for you then in transitioning?
Um, I would say the hardest part was really, I was extremely frustrated and angry almost when I did find out the truth. Just how I felt, throughout my whole life that I was somewhat manipulated in a way and brainwashed, to the way that I learned about what nutrition was. It was not taught in
Right,
school, didn't even learn that in college, so it was an awakening for me. But then it was frustrating to see so many other people are unaware.
right.
It was the hardest thing for me, especially seeing, I know for my family members, same thing. They were still eating the same way they were. And it was hard for me to see that because I knew for a fact, that they were destroying their bodies, basically just continuously eating the way that they were.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really hard thing for me. Um, Also, I know because I was taught a certain way on, you know, as an athlete, I needed to have meat, I needed enough protein. And so trying to relearn how I was able to get in enough protein for me, to build muscle and to feel
Yeah.
strong. So relearning took a while for me to get used to that. And there were some things that were hard for me to give up at first. Um,
What was
since
that?
my background, I'm Belizean,
Okay.
and I grew up by the sea. We always ate seafood. that was our staple dish. So that was a hard thing to get rid of as well. To get rid of fish out of my diet because my parents told me you need to eat fish. It's good for you. It's a better meat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
So
discovering the truth that it's definitely not. Contains a lot of fat and other things for
and let's
destroying.
let's not fat shame here. Like fat is actually good in some moderation, but right, not fat from necessarily animals, and especially I would say from fish, because yeah, it has this kind of image that fish have omega 3s and all the good fats, but actually in the fats, this is exactly where the toxins are stored, and we know that wild caught fish and
Hmm.
even like farm fish are not very healthy.
Right.
So,
Right. Hmm.
so people might be even unintentionally and be unaware that they are putting even more toxins into their body by thinking that they are actually doing something good for their health.
Hmm.
So this is my perspective. This is my point of view. From
Yes, I agree.
yeah. So and when it comes to food, yeah, you already mentioned that this was actually the fish and these kind of things and diary. And what about your family now? So or your social circle? Do they still eat, let's say the typical diet, or are they more plant-based now?
Hmm. Definitely more plant-based now. I was so happy that they did make the transition. I know my mom is now fully plant-based.
Oh, great.
My dad was harder to convince, but he's getting there. And my boyfriend as well. He's actually the one who introduced me to veganism, and
Okay.
so we're both vegan. So we're able
It's
to.
usually the other way around, as I noticed.
Right.
So yeah, and do you also try to maybe convince other people to go to this lifestyle to transition into vegan diet, or what's your approach to that?
Yeah. It is difficult. We do have a small group of friends that do know that we're also vegan, but they haven't really made the change.
Mm-hmm.
So it is kind of hard sometimes, especially we would go somewhere to eat together, and it's definitely going to be a place that, we're all able to eat. But we do inform them, why we're doing the things that we're doing. But,
Okay.
it's really ultimately up to them to
Definitely.
make that decision. So, but I definitely don't judge, because I always think back, I was in the same position too. I was
Right.
unaware, and it's definitely a learning process. So,
Mm-hmm.
but they are aware, and so it's nice to, hopefully we'll eventually influence them to make that change. So.
Yeah, let's inspire them to make the change, because
Yes.
I mean, I cannot imagine, like, when I see some of these like fast foods or whatever. It's for myself, it's never been interesting, right? Because this food doesn't even look that good. And when I compare it to some of the, I mean, when I see fresh veggies, all these different colors and everything is like, I mean, I want to eat that, but when I see like hamburger, like even if let's say the healthy or non-meat version, it's not as appealing to me personally. And I know that not all the people are like that. We would be in a different world then. But yeah, let's try to inspire people to do
Yes.
the right thing. So, is there anything that really frustrates you also, like nowadays, when it comes to this kind of lifestyle? Maybe it is like people around you, how they approach you, how they behave towards you, or is it something that maybe that is something totally different?
I would say for probably the family perspective, introducing that idea to my family was, they didn't take it very well at first,
Right.
especially because it's something different and new, and they've never known about it. So at first they were concerned, are you able to eat healthy that way? Are you going to basically die without eating meat
Yeah.
or
And
dairy?
we can show your photos, like what was the change like from this track and field and nowadays. I think there's a big difference. That's why I also asked, like, how long have you been doing bodybuilding, when you said like intensively, like 3-4 months, if I remember
Yes.
correctly. So I mean, that's a big difference.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a big difference. And just being able to, give my body all the nutrients that it needs,
Mm-hmm.
because we have a very, our society, the normal American diet is full of calories, but very low nutrients.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and, I was able to discover that at first when I started to do the transition, I was eating less with my body to help burn fat and, build some muscle. So I was always used to, as an athlete, we would count our calories. And so I'd always try to get a really high amount of calories because I'm burning so much as a runner.
Right.
But then I discovered that just by introducing more nutrient dense foods, I didn't have to eat as much.
Ah, that's
I
interesting,
was
actually.
getting, yes, because I was getting in so much more nutrients, and I felt more energy. I was able to recover faster as an athlete, and I was able to be able to lift more as well. I felt stronger.
And could you also put this like kind of reference into numbers when you were tracking calories? Like, what was the difference before and then afterwards?
Okay, so when I, as a track athlete back in college, I was still eating meat at that time. I was trying to consume anywhere between 23 to 2,400 calories a day.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first got into bodybuilding, my coach just really wanted me to have a smooth transition and basically relearn how to eat properly. I was eating 5 times a day, having a very good breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, things like that. So he actually started me out much lower calories. It was only
Uh-huh.
about 1665 a day. We did that for about a month. Then he was able to bump it up to an extra 200 calories a day. And now I'm back to that 2,000 calories a day.
Okay.
Again, histologist, plant-based nutrition. I'm eating a breakfast, have a snack, and then lunch, another snack, and then I have dinner.
Yeah, but now there is also a difference, between running and bodybuilding. So I mean,
Yes.
running obviously burns much more calories.
Yes. It's nice because that was one of the things I really wanted to do, is build more muscle, because I was very thin as a track runner because of all of the calories being burned. So
Yeah, I mean, look at me. So yeah, because this kind of challenge, and I mean, for anybody who is a volume eater, who wants to eat, like, I would say, even unlimited amount of food, I would recommend like plant-based, because it's very hard to overeat on that.
Yeah.
If you don't eat, I mean, processed foods, but you stick to whole foods, plant-based diet. And it can be challenged. I know from my perspective, from my example, that getting actually enough calories, because when I transitioned, like you said, I felt more energetic and everything. And this was when I started also increasing my running. So I was running, even peaked at like 100 kilometers, which is about 70 miles a week.
Oh, wow.
At that point, I had trouble keeping up with calories. But I mean, when I was eating salads predominantly, that's not a good strategy. Good for weight loss and muscle loss. So yeah, this is the kind of challenge that I've been facing, and that there needs to be a strategy to develop for that kind of person who burns a lot of calories. Yeah. But definitely for anybody who is, like, let's say, normal, who is not running a lot or doing a lot of cardio, then I think it's perfectly fine. Well, more than fine, right? And actually today I was listening to one podcast, and they mentioned that one of the most problematic things for people to transition into the vegan lifestyle, even if they are interested into it, is yes, actually their social circle, that they don't want to bother people. They don't want to come like and refuse the food that they have been prepared.
Right.
Yeah, so have you been facing all of these, or how do you handle these things, like when you have, for example, I don't know, family meeting, or you go out with friends?
Yeah, that was that I definitely agree with that. It was difficult at first. Are your friends even going to want you to come to their dinners with you, knowing, their dietary restrictions? But although my friends are very open-minded, they weren't judging me. I actually like the fact that they asked a lot of questions. How are you able to do this? What do you eat? Things like that. I love being able to answer those questions for people who do have them. I would have the same question too, not knowing. So I'm just showing them that there are, many different things that you can eat. And I love being able to explore and go to different restaurants and find there's a lot of options out there. And so a lot of people just are not aware. But I would say if you could probably almost go to almost any restaurant, and you're able to find some option for, a vegan.
Yeah.
Or, just ask the waitress, things like that. So, but we were able to discover new foods, new places to eat. So it has been fun. And it's nice to show our friends that there are different things you can eat. It's fun. We're not just eating salads all day. There's a lot of options out there, especially now. It's really great that the message has been spread, and there's so many more restaurants and places that are offering these options.
Okay, and now, since you are also bodybuilding, do you still track calories? And or how is your dietary approach for you right now?
Okay, well, at first, when I first got into the bodybuilding, my coach had laid out basically what I should be eating throughout the day. So I was counting my macros and my calories, making sure I was taking the right supplements too. I do take that as well. I have vitamins in the morning. And I have my omega-3, 6, and 9. I take my, my essential oils. And I also have a vegan protein shake too, that I take twice a day. So those are just things to supplement, but overall, it's mainly what I eat. Whole foods, oats in the morning, lots of greens. Definitely have spinach, broccoli, everything green, basically.
Yeah, I love that.
And my coach is also into tofu, which I know has been a very interesting topic for most people about soy. I haven't had any issues with eating soy, and neither has my coach as well. But it helps with nice protein base too as an athlete.
Right.
So it has been helpful. I'm not sure about the whole health aspects with soy. But I do count my calories. I try to do that. But I also sometimes on the weekends I just do intuitive eating, and so that's what I do right now.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is because that there are some, let's say, especially in the bodybuilding world, I found that, or when it comes to weight loss, there are different approaches, and some people are, like you said, soy, I cannot eat it, or they are afraid of eating soy, which I think is kind of redundant, but okay. Do your research. You don't need to eat soy on a plant-based diet, right? I mean, it's not necessary. Another thing is that some people are for counting calories vigorously. Right. Some people are like intuitive eating, and some people are saying eat whatever you want, just macros, and then we have like keto diet and all this crazy stuff. So I mean, people are really confused about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for sharing how you eat, how you approach this kind of diet. And when it comes to your coach, this is like interesting to me. It seems like he or she has been really helpful to you. How did you find them?
I actually found him in a Facebook group. I'm in a vegan bodybuilding and fitness group on Facebook, and I just asked a question, hey, where can I find an online coach who's also vegan? And I had a whole bunch of comments that came back, and basically just went through and, reached out to each of these coaches online. And I would say it's extremely helpful, especially if you, don't know how to start, where to begin with bodybuilding, because I had no clue. So I knew that in order for me to get to where I want to be, it would make sense for me to get a coach. And he has been extremely helpful, of learning how to eat, what to eat, how often, how much I should eat. So yeah, I think it was very great to find a coach.
Yeah, and then basically, when did you start it to build your following on social media, like to start inspiring people, because this is also very interesting?
Oh yeah, I started that probably back last year around the summertime, and that was really, I would say, before I had made the transition into the whole health and fitness. Before I was just an accountant, going to work from the 9 to 5 and doing that. Once I made that transition, I felt like, this was really my purpose, to share and inspire and to help other people make the change, to better their health, to show them love and compassion for not just themselves, but for others. So I started that before I even started the bodybuilding. I just wanted to share my journey along the way. So that's how I developed that following.
Okay, and it really feels from the messages, the one that I actually read yesterday that was about, well, I can't remember actually what specifically it was, but I really knew like this message really stuck with me. It's like, it was from the heart. I mean, so you can feel that even through the social media, that you're like a very sincere, inspiring person that is trying to help people out and to improve their life. So that's really appreciated, and I see that people also appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what are actually your plans or your vision for the future when it comes to your life, to maybe, but let's start when it comes to your life.
Okay. Where I see it going.
Yeah.
I definitely wanted to, the first thing, first and foremost, I wanted to prove myself wrong when I did make the vegan transition on whether or not I could actually build muscle and put on weight with the vegan diet. So that was what was my driving factor at the beginning.
Okay.
And I was able to share that and show people that it is extremely possible, especially for me, because I was a runner, extremely small frame. It was always hard for me to put on muscle and put on weight. But then since then and now on, I've found that it is extremely possible. Wanted to share that too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm training right now for a competition coming up in June
Okay.
23rd. That's going to be my very first competition. I'm starting an online coaching. So I'm building my website right now for that. And I just continue to, inspire and grow. I'm excited to see where this is going to go. Definitely not sure what is going to happen, but I've definitely, left what I used to do with, the accounting, the corporate world of 9 to 5. I want to have the lifestyle where I'm able to, travel,
Okay.
inspire, and, be able to live life on my own terms and, to help coach and teach other people.
Yeah. So what would you like to help people with, like regarding your coaching practice?
Basically what I've been doing with health and fitness, being able for them to lose weight, gain muscle through a vegan diet, vegan nutrition, and I'll have different fitness packages or programs for them.
Okay, keeping my fingers crossed for you with that.
Thank you.
And when it comes to actually the whole plant-based eating or veganism thing, how do you see it from your perspective, of course, in the future? Like, because we see some trends that more people are interested in it, more people are aware, they are trying, but also many people try it, like you have this veganuary for 20, 30 days, and then they leave it for whatever reason, because they can give up, for example, cheese, or I don't know, for many different reasons. So how do you see that in future?
I would see for instance, with anyone who decided to join my program, I wanted to teach it in a way that you can show them that it is extremely sustainable. You're not restricted. There are many different things that you can eat. There's recipes. There's, countless restaurants and places that you can now go to, so it's not just stuck to a diet. And I think the people who have probably tried it, like in January, and they fell off, was mainly because they might have just did it because of just the one piece of just the health aspect. They probably were not aware of, all of the environmental effects as well as the animal cruelty. They probably were not aware. So being able to put all of those pieces together and seeing it as a whole, how veganism and plant-based is not just a diet, but it's the lifestyle.
Okay.
And it's sustainable for your entire life. And it's more than just for your health. That, for instance.
And do you think that more and more people will eventually join, or that we are now reaching the peak and then it will go, like downwards from there, or stay about the same levels? What do you think? I
think we're definitely moving towards definitely that transition of people are now wanting to make that change. I like the fact that I do see people are becoming more aware. People are changing their lives, which is huge. I love seeing the stories of people talking about maybe the health issues that they used to have. And because they made a change in their lifestyle, they've completely turned around, reversed disease, being able to help their families, and no longer suffer from all sorts of ailments, and learning how to be more compassionate and loving. I definitely see that change happening, as well as, I do see the there's new restaurants popping up all over the place with vegan options, things like that. So
Yeah, I think that is actually one of the strong points that regardless of the media or whatever, media always play a huge role in this. But I mean, we as a consumers, we vote with our money. And yeah, you might have heard that many times, but this is really true. And this is what I see also in my close vicinity, that there are more and more vegan products showing up in the shelves, specifically because market is interested in it, so they are producing it, and it's as simple as that. So from my perspective, if I can share, is that I mean it will grow. In US, you already have these brands like Beyond Meat and Impossible Burger.
Yes.
Have you tried it? Actually,
it is great. I have tried it. Really good.
Okay. So yeah, this is something that I would like to try as well, just out of curiosity. And I believe that also there are many meat eaters and I mean normal people who would love to try it. So yeah, there's a really good thing that the market is being introduced into these kind of foods, and they can serve as a good transition. Also, from my perspective, nutritionally speaking, it's not as good as purely plant-based.
Right.
Yeah, and that brings me to the topic of I don't know if you know, there is like a lab created meat. So basically, where they take a cell of an organism, for example, from a cow, just one cell, and from that one cell they are able to grow meat.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, several steaks. Like this is also another thing that is very it's happening right now, and this is another possible solution for people when it comes to meat.
Yes, I have heard about that. I'm not quite sure if I would trust, grown meat from a lab, because it's still meat. I would still stick with, the whole plant-based sort of meat products and basically whole foods I would stick with.
That's kind of interesting because when I say this to people, I mean, I would have no problem with substituting normal meat with this lab-grown meat because, I mean, there is nothing super specific about it or whatever, but people seems to be more afraid of it, and then as a result, they are more willing to try things like Beyond Meat and pure vegan diet, So I mean, it plays into the cards of the whole food plant-based lifestyle even more, which was not even the intention. So it's interesting thing. Yeah. So I don't know. Is there anything that you would like to add to this conversation, to share with people, to inspire them?
I think really just I have felt that my life has changed completely since the transition of this vegan diet and lifestyle. Just overall, I feel more positive. I feel like I'm not contributing to the suffering of animals, helping the environment, each and every day by not consuming, the meat and dairy products. And I would say really it's just, it's very empowering, to show that just the decision for someone to make of refusing, to follow the social norms, that we have been able to make a huge change. Just with the few amount of people who have shared their stories and inspired others. And, we're definitely going in that right direction, and just being able to share that with more and more people.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one of the points is that when people had this kind of thinking and they keep asking other people like, where do you get your protein, and that there are several questions that keep repeated over and over again, and I think that these people have it from other people and they are just following numbers in that respect. So when more and more people are transitioning, it will possibly even turn around to the point where people will be asking, where do you get your fiber? Eventually, hopefully, we will see about that. So let's share your social media. How can people, and where is the best way? What is the best way? How they can connect with you?
Okay, I'm definitely always on Instagram. So if you just follow me on Swift and Fit, and that's where you'll find, my journey, everything that I'm sharing and going through about veganism, bodybuilding, any inspiring messages. That's what I share on social platform.
Also, if they have questions, right?
Yes, also if you have a question.
Okay, these people will be able to find in the show notes below in the text that will be attached.
Okay.
And once more, thank you very much for your time, for finding this time and sharing your story, which is really inspiring. And hopefully you will be able to live up to your dreams and inspire people and to help them to transition into that lifestyle even better, even more than now.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode and see you next time. If you liked it, please share, subscribe, and you will find all the important links in the show notes or below video, however you got to this. So there will be also a page to subscribe, my Facebook page, my website, and if you are looking for a coach or coaching experience, you are looking to boost your performance, whether it's mental or physical, to the next level, then go to my website that is linked down below and contact me through there.